being a jerk.
It looks to me like I see the head of a Shogun Warriors Godzilla back there.
Yes, it is.
How many of those you got?
Sitting up here, I've got, they reissued the original Godzilla, the original version, Japanese version that Shogun was based on. It's actually modeled after the Godzilla from Mothra versus Godzilla, and it's pretty impressive.
Oh, the original Godzilla, that's the Matthew Broderick movie, right?
Oh, man, you know it. Iguana.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah. Now, see how much better that looks than the Shogun one?
Good evening, weirdos, and welcome to yet another edition of Livin' Cruddy with Cruddy Joe. I am, in fact, Cruddy Joe, and I'm here tonight with the Getty Along gang. We have the sexiest man on this side of the equator, handsome Jimmy Hansen, and we also have the king of the nighttime world and the harvester of sorrow, Mr. Gino Roy Coffinberry. And most importantly, our guest tonight is formerly of Slipknot, currently of the Exotic Ones, Zipper Catches Skin, and Run DMC, Mr. Troy Guinn. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. Good to see you, gentlemen.
Good to see you. Finally see you.
Is Zipper Catches Skin, is that still a band now, or what's going on?
No, I wish it was, man. We had fun with that. I'd like to do it again someday.
Did anything ever happen after the last time I did something, I guess is the question.
No, you were irreplaceable, man. Like when you were out, we were like,
I've been replaced in that circle many times.
Now, we were able to keep the Eat My Fucks going without you, but you'll always be missed in that. But no, I think Zipper Catches Skin, it's got to have you back in it if we're going to do it again at some point.
Well, Eat My Fucks is a circular thing.
Yeah.
It works in cycles and circles, and it's got sickle cell anemia.
Yeah, many faces can go in and out of that band and have before. I think already we probably had like 20 different people be a part of that.
Have you come up with a name for your Spin Doctors tribute band yet?
My memories of that are really blurry. I think I've tried to push that. to the back of my mind there, and then someplace I won't retrieve it, I believe.
All right, so Troy is, I think most people know Troy from the Exotic Ones, which is a band that's probably, I don't know, Creeping Cruds and Exotic Ones start up around the same time, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, we would have been 2000, I guess 3 was when the Exotic Ones first kind of started up. So it's kind of around the time of the Cruds, right? When the Cruds first started up.
It was either 2002 or 2003.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I think our first gig was in 2003.
Yeah,
but I also remember immediately being aware that the Exotic Ones were around and doing, in some ways similar stuff with the, the whole horror movie and sci-fi things. We've been doing gigs on and off and been, cohorts with the Exotic Ones for as long as we've been doing this stuff. That whole time, Troy and I have been, in little side bands and things together. And I've always known Troy was like a big Godzilla fanatic, but he's also possibly one of a couple people who are the most knowledgeable in regard to Paul Naschy in North America. Would that be out of line to say that?
I get referred to as a Naschy expert. I never really consider myself an expert on anything, to be honest with you. But some people have used that term. I don't know. I always feel like there's others who know more than I do. But I definitely am a huge fan. Certainly, one of the biggest fanatics of Paul Naschy that I know for sure. And
well, you were a creator of the NaschyCast with Rodney, right?
Right. Yeah, with Rod Barnett. Yeah,
who knows more? You or Rodney about Nnatchez? All right, let's just get it on out.
What's that?
Troy is the brains behind the NaschyCast. Rodney just rides his coattails.
That's right. Yeah, Rod. I'm the brains. Rod is chest hair. Is how we.
If anybody had gone out and bought, is it more than one box set that you are the commentary on, or is it just that one?
We've got 3 commentaries on the first Naschy box set that's Shout Factory or Scream Factory did, and then we've got one commentary on the second box set they did from Scream Factory, the Paul Naschy collections they did. The first audio commentary we actually did was for Mondo Macabro, which was where the first film Naschy directed, which was Inquisition. I guess our most recent one that came out was Mondo Macabro as well, which is Naschy's Beast and the Magic Sword. So overall, we've had 8 released, 8 commentaries we've done all
Holy
together.
Shit, that's awesome.
And we've got 3 more kind of in the pipeline, but we can't say anything about them yet because the companies haven't officially announced them. So, but those are all 3 ones we're really excited about, hoping that they'll make them official so, we can shout it out loud. Yeah, the whole audio and commentary thing has certainly been it just shows you some of the weird things podcasting
That's incredible,
can do,
yeah.
You never expect. And the way we got the first one was that actually one of the guys from Mondo Macabro just happened to be he was one of our regular listeners. He had never even reached out to us before, but he had been been listening to the show, found out they were going to release Inquisition, got in touch with us and asked us if we'd be interested in doing the audio commentary. We were like, let's see, let's check our calendars. Yeah, I think we'd be interested in doing that.
Well, that's super cool. I mean, I've sat through a couple on the set that has Horror Rises from the Tomb and watched it with the commentary on there, and there's a ton of information. I mean, I'm not a Paul Naschy expert by any means, but I learned a lot more than I expected to learn by watching that. I mean, you guys have like dove deep into the minutia behind that. Not just Paul Naschy is also known as Jacinto Molina or whatever, and things like that everybody knew. No, this is like some deep stuff. You guys were talking about the tree.
The tree they set on fire. That tree that was like an ancient artifact, growing. They'd been an ancient tree, and in the course of filming, they set fire to it. Yeah, a lot of good stuff there. A lot of good stuff to get into, and the fact that Naschy wrote that whole script basically under the influence of mind-altering drugs, in order because he only had like 24 hours to write it, so he just kept taking drugs to keep himself awake, and it certainly comes out in the.
How long has the NaschyCast been going on?
Actually, last February was our 10th anniversary. We don't do an episode every month because, we really don't have that many Naschy films left. We've got a small handful of films that we still want to track down that we haven't been able to yet. But what we started doing now is having other people come in and talk about what their favorite Naschy film is. Then we do another series called Beyond Naschy, Spanish horror films, especially from the 70s. But we'll do either directors he worked with or actors that he worked with that are another Spanish horror film. That we can probably keep going, forever because there's so many of them out there.
Now, I have here that Naschy directed 33 and wrote 52.
Yeah, that number's a little high for the directing there. He didn't direct as many as 30. He probably directed more like 15 or so that he directed. As far as his acting filmography, that number is probably more accurate. I mean, he definitely, as far as acting roles, but yeah, as far as directing, that's one of the things we're proud of with the show is that we have managed to cover every single film that he directed. So that's good. We were happy to get our hands on that.
Why did you guys settle on Paul Naschy of all the directors out there?
I think because, it was Rod's idea to begin with, and Rod and I, we really were the only two that we knew that were that big of fans of Paul Naschy. Some of the others would watch him and just, and enjoy him for what they were, but we were the ones who just were this is really good stuff, or these are worth watching. And it was actually just shortly after Naschy died, I think Rod he just had Naschy on his mind a lot because he had just passed away, and he just came to me and posed the idea. And my first thought was, well, that is definitely something that nobody else is doing. Because, when we started getting into listening to podcasts, several of my friends, we talked about doing a couple podcasts, but it was always kind of hey, let's talk about film, and everybody was doing that out there. And the other thought I had was, if we suck, it won't matter because nobody's going to listen to this anyway. So we went into it really just. We actually started it really quickly after Rod brought the idea up, which is odd because usually when you say something like that, most of those things usually percolate for months and months or even years before you finally sit down and do it. In this case, really very quickly, we picked the film and did it, and we didn't talk at all about what we were going to do. We literally just showed up with and just hit record and started talking, and very quickly discovered that no matter what you do a podcast on, there are people out there who will find it and hear it.
Yeah.
We suddenly started getting contact with people all over the world listening to it. We met a lot of friends through the show. We've had people tell us that we're the reason they got into Naschy films.
I'm always struck with Paul Naschy films in that these were movies that were shown in the 70s and probably in the early 80s, and you didn't recognize that they were Paul Naschy cult. They're just like these weird movies that would come on.
Yeah.
I don't know who Paul Naschy was, but I would see these movies. I saw Frankenstein's Bloody Terror or even Horror Rises from the Tomb. So weird versions of those that were kind of chopped up. And I thought maybe it was Lon Chaney. I think the Wolfman looked like the original Wolfman, but here it is color and it's bloody. And I'm like, oh, this must be a later one, more recent version of the same old Wolfman. When you're a kid, take some of this stuff into account. Never tying together that this was all Paul Naschy until much later. Crazy color versions of popular monsters. And we just recently showed Horror Rise from the Tomb on the Film Freak Out.
Troy wouldn't know because he never attends. Don't feel too bad. Hanson doesn't attend either.
All right, no shaming.
Yeah, we'll leave the shaming to the end of the episode.
Right.
There you go.
But we showed that recently, and we'd shown it before. And I'm just sitting there watching it going, man, this is like the craziest shit. This movie is so fucking insane.
Yeah.
Nothing exists like this outside of it. He was having fun and he was making crazy shit. And you could tell that possibly his main goal at the time may have been to get his hands on as many boobs as possible. You got that Wurlitzer rolling or whatever, it's a Hammond or whatever. The thing is just nonstop.
Yeah.
I also watched recently a movie that I hadn't seen. And the last time I saw Let Sleeping Corpses Lie.
Oh, man. Yeah.
I saw it on a video box that was cut so bad and it looked so fucking terrible. When Joe said, let's show this, I'm like, oh, that movie sucks. And then we watched it, and this is not what I remember at all. I went back and watched it again on Amazon or whatever. I'm like, holy shit, this is like a holy grail of like kind of lesser known flicks that were shot beautifully that are definitely advertised as like some half Amicus type thing. But this is a Spanish-Italian production. Obviously, you get halfway through it, you're like, this is definitely one of those European lost gems. And it's like one of the best looking, way before its time movies. I was wondering if you guys had ever covered that in the podcast at all.
Yeah, we covered it on a Beyond Naschy, and I love that movie. You're right, but and you know, it is amazing what the high definition experience made from the best possible sources, from just how much it does. Like, I didn't realize what a beautiful film, what incredible filmmaking that is when you first time you've seen it is just some horrible, VHS dub,
The Living Dead at Manchester Morgue. You remember the guy with the autopsy scar?
Yeah.
You remember some stuff, but it's like this version, which I guess was lifted off a 4K print where they really put their painstaking time into this. This movie should be on every list of the greatest movies of the 70s. I know you probably get this all the time. If you had to suggest 5 Naschy flicks to people that aren't familiar with Naschy, what would you tell them to check out first?
Assuming that they are fans of classic horror as well. I mean, obviously Horror Rises from the Tomb, no question. Are they going to expect that from every Naschy film, and none of the others will quite measure up, because that probably is one of the craziest they did as far as having so many ingredients. We call it right now, I always call it the Naschy stew, But yeah, that would definitely be on the list. Probably, I think Werewolf Shadow, which is also known here as the Werewolf versus the Vampire Women, because that is the film that really kicked off the 70s Spanish horror boom. I mean, it wasn't the first film he did. It wasn't even the first werewolf film he did, but it was so popular everywhere it was distributed, including here in the States, that it really did just launch a huge boom of horror movies in Spain. So I think that's a key one. Probably, I think Dr. Jekyll and the Werewolf, which I think is his most interesting werewolf film, story-wise, plot, is a very creative and offbeat plot to that one.
Right.
I think Hunchback of the Morgue, I really enjoy a lot. That's the one where, that Naschy plays the deformed hunchback and still manages to score with the most beautiful woman in the film.
No matter what, Naschy scores with every girl in the movie.
Yeah.
And then really just, I think, to round out that list, after they watch those, I would suggest a film that's under several titles. The Traveler, also called El Caminante, but it's been released on Mondo Macabro, I think under the title The Devil Incarnate, which is one of the later films he directed in the 80s. And it's kind of like it's really kind of his masterpiece as a director. It's not one I would suggest people start with, but if they really want to see how impressive a filmmaker he was, he's basically playing the devil. He's come down to earth to just mingle among humanity, and just a fascinating film.
Cool.
What would you attribute Naschy's luck with women to? The fact that he looks like John Belushi, his wide array of turtleneck sweaters, or the fact that it's in the script?
Yeah, all of the above, plus the fact that he can really rock some amazing hair pieces. The Naschy must.
That's Naschy.
What's the worst Naschy?
There's a film called The Man with the Severed Head. Crimson, I think, is the title that it's available on Blu-ray. And it's funny because it was the first Naschy film to be released on Blu-ray. Now, since then, we've had others, but I remember when it came out, Ron, I was thinking of all the films, why this one has to be the first Naschy film on Blu-ray. I'd probably say that's the first of his films, as far as films that kind of from Naschy's heyday. Now, certainly towards the end of his career when he couldn't find work, he was taking just about every job that came along. And yeah, there's some real stinkers that come up in that era. We're talking about 90s, 2000s. He did get some good roles, towards the very, very end of his career. Just a few years before his death, he really started getting some respectful roles. But yeah, I think as far as what I would consider Naschy's era, probably the worst would be Crimson.
Well, future freak out there, that'll learn them.
Now, they did just, Blu-ray just came out, Fury of the Wolfman, which is not a good film, but it's incredibly fun to watch because it is so crazy. I mean, Naschy himself was just totally washed his hands of it. He said the director was drunk through most of it, and Naschy hated the way the director directed him as a werewolf. If you watch some of the films, kind of free to really wolf out. I mean, he gets into it. He goes all out, some great bestial werewolf things, but he described this film that the director had him swaggering like a Madrid pimp, is the way he put it, as the werewolf. But that's one that's just got so much bizarre stuff in it that I still can't explain in it. I don't know what it's doing in the film, but that's one I'd suggest people check out. out if they just want to, just for the weirdness of it. Unfortunately, that film was one of the ones that has been in public domain for years and had all kinds of video releases. So for so many people, it's probably their first exposure to Naschy, and it probably didn't encourage them to go further.
Well, unfortunately, with Naschy, its availability mostly dictated what you watch.
And Ron and I, we definitely will point out where the films go off the rails, where they're flawed, where things just don't make sense. And because we recognize too that they're acquired taste. We do feel that Naschy was a true artist. There was a lot that he brought to films, and he had a lot more there than most people would maybe on a cursory glance would think is there. And so we've been happy to bring exposure to what we think is definitely a film career that's worth examining. But I'd be the first to admit, somebody tells me I watch this stuff like, man, I just don't get it. It just doesn't do it for me. I'm not going to argue, I'm not going to push him to argue, because I understand. I mean, they're acquired taste for sure.
After you punch him, he disagreed with you.
Yeah, it's like I had to do that on principle for Paul, but really I understand.
Don't you ever insult the Nnatchez again? What's the difference between Godzilla and Mania?
I mean, just at the basic thing, live action film and versus cartoon. Godzilla was American, Mania is Japanese. Mania was created long before Godzilla. Mania was a kind of part of when Godzilla films were really starting to just become more for children. After the first few Godzilla films, it was kind of a clash between the director Ishiro Honda and the special effects guy Eiji Tsuburaya. Tsuburaya really thought the film should be more and more geared towards children, and Honda didn't really believe that. Tsuburaya kind of won out when they started softening Godzilla's image and became much more of a heroic monster than in Son of Godzilla they created Mania. Mania never really morphed or grew into a full-grown monster. I mean, he appeared in several more Godzilla films, but he was always as Mania. I'm not crazy about it. I don't despise Mania like a lot of Godzilla fans do. Those are the films I grew up on. I mean, I have a real fondness for the Godzilla films of the late 60s and 70s. And as a kid, I didn't want to see him get killed every movie. I mean, I like seeing him as a good guy where he was the hero so he could kick monster ass and be alive at the end of the movie because I thought he was awesome.
But I always have the Godzilla cartoon theme song rolling around in my head.
Up from the depths, 30 stories, breathing fire. It's not a memory any of us need, is it? That was another case where even as a kid, I was so excited knowing a hype there was going to be a Godzilla cartoon coming. I mean, I watched every episode, of course, because it was Godzilla and it was on TV. But even as a kid, on some level, you're kind of like the first time Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park came on. When you're so stoked for it. And then on some level, it's really just isn't good.
I recall getting a little bit of that feeling when they made the first U.S. Godzilla. I'm thinking for a little bit like, oh, this could be cool. Now we can see what they can do with a little bit of American money. Not anticipating at all what they were going to do with it and just turn it into a focus group piece of shit with a monster that you've seen in Jurassic Park or whatever.
Well, yeah, it was obvious. That's all they really wanted to do was Jurassic Park. I mean, when you get to the point in the film where Godzilla pretty much just disappears for like 30 minutes of the film so that they can all run from these raptor sides, that's when you realize, okay, that's what these guys really wanted to do all along was just make Jurassic Park. But when I heard they were doing American Godzilla, I mean, I wanted it to be good. I'm not one of those fans who just kind of wants to pronounce doom on every project that comes out with some beloved character. I want them to be good. So when I first was going to do it, American Godzilla, I was like, okay, let's see how it goes. I'm going to go into this with an open mind. When I found out who the writer and director were going to be, Emmerich and Devlin, I think they're crap filmmakers, and when I heard that they were going to be involved, I still tried to, okay, I'm going to go see the movie. Maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe they'll surprise me. They did it. It was terrible. You don't really realize just how bad it's going to be.
Well, I remember the day before the movie, they ran a thing in the local paper and they showed a picture of the new design. I was like, oh, this is going to...
I'm more like, look, if you show respect for the character and show you get the character, I can forgive changes in the origin. I mean, look at Shin Godzilla, very different look and incredibly, totally different origin. They've done that before in some of the Toho films, and you can do that and still show that you love and respect the character. The thing about the 98 Godzilla, I mean, I'm really not sure if those guys ever had actually seen a Godzilla movie. I think they just licensed for the 98 when TriStar film, they just licensed the name, and what they really wanted to do was a cross between Jurassic Park and a 50s American sci-fi film. When you have Godzilla who immediately when the military comes in and starts shooting, he turns and runs, and they're thinking like, I'm sorry, but Godzilla doesn't run from anything. I mean, that's one of the keys. That's one of the keys to his character. I mean, it's like, whether it's because he's just brainless or whether it's or whatever, or because he's a badass or whatever. It doesn't matter if the creature he's fighting is 5 times his size. I mean, he doesn't run from anything. And as soon as I saw that, like you got to be kidding me.
Just looking at him, I don't even recognize this as Godzilla. Yeah. I don't know what this is, but they just took something else and called it Godzilla. The Japanese people immediately disavowed it. They were like, this is some American bullshit. Let's write this immediately.
As soon as I saw that, it's like, nope, let's roll another one into production. We have to save face, as they say in Japan.
And the movie they made was way better.
Oh, hell yeah.
Did you see the Texarkana Gamera?
No, and tell me that Texarkana and Gamera. What is that?
It's one of the later Gamera movies, but they replaced all of the dialogue with people with Bill Clinton type accents.
Oh my gosh, no, I haven't.
So if you buy that Gamera box set, there's a version in there where they dub all the audio with people from Texas. It's a really good movie.
That has them use
dubbing that they do is perfect. It's fucking hilarious. I'll send you a link to it.
But was it done? Now you said it's on a Gamera box set. So this was not done as a joke though. The people that dubbed it, is this like a serious attempt to?
This was like a joke by the people that made the movie.
Is it on that Gamera? It's not on that Gamera box set that Arrow just did, is it?
Oh, I don't know enough about Gamer to know. I can look it up real quick. Hang on, let me.
This is the part of the show we call hot web surfing action.
We just focus on Gino's rapturous face as he's.
Yeah. Actually, while Gino's doing that, because I like to help, when you exhaust all your Naschy resources, come up with future podcasts you might be able to spend to. You can do the Doller cast, the Steckler cast, the Milligan cast, Al Adamson, the Seymour Butts cast, and the Brett Ratner cast.
Oh,
Awesome.
If you use any of those, I only ask for a 40% cut of the profit.
Joe, I didn't see him writing any of them down. I don't think
They're right here, man.
Lock it in.
The Gamera movie is Gamera Attack of the Legion.
Yeah, when you said the octopus kind of creature had the bird head, that's what I was figuring it was. And
all of his foes are like birds, though.
they are. When I was too little to understand the whole thing about movie studios and properties, and I was loving these giant monster movies, and I could never understand why aren't Godzilla and Gamera not in any films together. I was like, come on, these guys, there's got to be a movie out there somewhere where these guys fight each other. And there's been rumors over the years that Toho and Daiei are on the negotiating table trying to work out a Godzilla Gamera co-production, but it hasn't happened so far. So really just Daiei just keeps putting out better releases of their product. I mean, that Godzilla box set that Criterion did, I mean, it's great to see. I mean, the fact that Criterion, which is the highbrow DVD company here in our home video world cinema, I mean, their two biggest box sets are Ingmar Bergman and Godzilla. I mean, consider that. I could nitpick if I wanted to, and I try again not to be that person who pronounces doom on something because, it didn't have this, or it didn't, but I can, they do. So once again, Gamera just kind of, thumbs his nose to his richer older brother there, hey, I'm just going to get out here and get treated with more respect than you still are. So, yeah.
The Exotic Ones have a new EP, Mystery Machine, which leads me to believe that you guys have been doing some work since the pandemic started.
Well, no, we were just very lucky to have it nearly all done before everything went to shit. Yeah, and we kept kind of waiting because we wanted to, we really had everything but maybe a couple of parts done, and then we were able to do those by mail, as they say, and finish the album. And we were trying to hold off. We thought we were going to be doing, needed to still get together and, do photo shoots for the album art. So that's why we were kind of holding back on releasing it. And our drummer came up with the idea as well, we're calling it Mystery Machine. So she said, why don't we just have someone draw us as Hanna-Barbera characters and just make that the cover? And which is what we did. So that way we were able to, at least right now, we went ahead and because it's been so long and we've been sitting on this stuff for so long, we just a week or so ago, we put it up on Bandcamp at the moment. It's on our Bandcamp page. And so you can at least stream it and buy the tracks there. We're hoping to have the actual CD out before the end of the year. So hopefully by early December, we'll have that available, and it'll be available on Bandcamp as well. And, so obviously we'll have somewhere to sell it since we certainly won't be able to sell it any shows anytime soon. But we got lucky with that. I mean, that's that we had so much of it already in the can. So it gave us something there to put out, as this eight song EP.
Well, it's good you guys are making constructive use of your time because we shall go on to a pretty late scene. They haven't done anything in a long time.
They're just waiting for the stomping feet and chance to go get louder.
Actually, Gino wants to open up the crowds again, but Jimmy keeps telling him to wait.
No, it's the other way around. It's the other way around.
Well, we have COVID deniers in the creds, so
that's not true. No one denies COVID. We all believe it.
I have a Celtic band called the Secret Commonwealth that I've been in now for years now, and that unfortunately that was the band that was going to be really digging hard into getting the next album going this summer, and so we're the ones who really got screwed as far as my bands go. As far as we didn't even get started on our next album. We were going to get together in one of our guys' just backyard, and of course, and where we could be spread out enough of how cautious we want to be. We all want to be smart about it, So right. We figured we could get it, but we got everybody to agree on, hey, we can get together in somebody's backyard. We're really spread out enough. Had all the video and audio people set up to do it, and had it all scheduled, and had a couple of weeks of just gorgeous weather. And then, of course, this past weekend, we just got totally rained out both days. I think when it comes to Celtic music, I think the gods of weather are Protestants, because we get Secret Commonwealth just is always cursed by the weather. So right now we rescheduled it. When we go to play, I want everybody to be comfortable and excited about it. I don't want somebody to be like terrified about it. So we just got to kind of wait till everybody's, on the same page and on board with it. And I have no idea how the hell long that's going to be.
Well, it's been a weird year. I mean, since I started playing, this is the first time I've taken a whole year off.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely. You never would have anticipated anything like this playing out. All right. So now we're down to the part where we do the music quiz, the quote quiz, and we have some other goofy shit like that we do. We've had a bad run with people trying to do these music quiz. People just do not know music lyrics or bands or any of that shit. But I predict that Troy is going to do better than anybody we've had in the past.
Pressures.
I will read a set of lyrics. You tell me the next line, the name of the band, name of the song. You have an option to reach out to one of these two guys as your lifeline.
Where's my
lifelines? I'll give you a hint, Jimmy.
No, Joe.
Yeah, no, you can't do that. The first lyrics are, we set the trash on fire and watch outside the door. Men come on the pavement. What's the next line?
Okay, well, the band is X. The name of the song is The Unheard Music.
And what's the next line?
I can even hear them. Set the trash outside and watch outside the door. Men come up the pavement. We even played this live and Eat My Fucks. Yeah. No, can't get that one, man. Can't get the next line.
You want to use one of your lifelines.
All right, handsome.
I don't know.
Okay.
You played the song, you can't remember.
I know. I sang it. I sang it because it was me and Melissa. We were doing our John Doe and
you're gonna hate yourself. We set the trash on fire and watch outside the door. Men come up the pavement under the marquee. Okay, we'll give you a point for that one. The second one is, well, I rock my mama so bad. This a woman, she's making me mad. Well, I don't care if her legs start aching. Next line, band, name of the song.
Now, see, I tell you, man, I'm terrible at this. It's like the memory's just not working anymore. Joe?
I don't know anything about incest songs.
Now,
do you know, Jimmy?
California Man.
Name of the band.
Trick, right? The Cheap Trick version.
What's the next line?
Cal-
That broke up, but the next line is, I'm a California man, Cheap Trick, California Man. You got 2 points.
yeah.
Last one is equally difficult, but I think you can get this one. The lines are, turn your radios on, I'll appear right there, yes I will. Turn me up real loud. What's the next line?
So funny because when this comes out and all my friends watching there, it's all going to be like, you're hopeless, Troy. Nothing's registering. All right, Jimmy.
Jimmy's not home.
I
don't know. I never know the answers to these things.
Well, you're going to hate yourself. Turn your radios on. I'll appear right there. Yes, I will. Turn me up real loud. I'm in your ears. Van Halen on fire.
It's even topical. It's even topical. Yeah, with the loss we just had.
Eddie Van Halen. Moment of silence for Eddie Van Halen. I thought you would have got that one.
Yeah, I'll just keep the streak of poor contestants on this going.
Now we move on to the movie quote portion of this. Say the line, tell me who said it, what the movie was.
Okay, and then the movie title.
Yeah, Redemption, yes. And you still have lifelines for these. The quote is, we shall drink to our partnership. Do you like gin? It is my only weakness.
Oh, man. Okay, I know. I've heard this one. Oh, God, I can't even hear a voice saying that. Yes, I've heard this one. We shall drink to our partnership. Yeah, okay, I'm going to say the movie's Bride of Frankenstein, and the actor is Ernest Thesiger.
What's the character's name?
Oh, Dr. Pretorius.
Yep, you got it. Pretorius, Bride of Frankenstein.
Wow.
All right, he nailed it. Now there's one more. You can go full redemption on this one here because you got Thesiger and Pretorius on that one here. The line is, you're joking. I can't believe my ears. Would someone shut this fella up? I'm drowning in my tears.
God, that sounds like it's from a musical. Got an idea, but let's see. Joe, can you help with that?
Is it Jam Master Jay and Tougher Than Leather?
No.
Is it from Phantom of the Paradise?
It is not. We've done Phantom of the Paradise.
Oh, have you?
But this was the Oogie Boogie Man in Nightmare Before Christmas.
Cool.
All right, you still did exceptional because you got most of the music ones and you got the Pretorius one and you got every bit of that detail. So, well, we have 2 more parts to our quiz thing. Are you willing to attempt a Werner Herzog impersonation?
Well, yes, I'll do that. You see, they wanted me to, I was going to film this documentary here in Antarctica, and I told them I wasn't interested in shooting a bunch of cute penguins, but they said they wanted me anyway. But then I saw the cute penguins, and I realized that I must film them.
All right.
That was the best one yet. That was fantastic.
That was the finest Werner that we've had for sure.
Well, I love his voice. I mean, he's got a beautiful voice, and that actually is true about the classic Werner Herzog. Have you seen that documentary that he shot about that? He filmed all the people living up in the Arctic or somewhere. Yeah, I'm a huge Herzog fan.
Well, that was definitely the best one. Now, lastly, we have a thing called Nadlib. I ask you a couple this and that. We fill it in, and then we have a story, and I'll read the story at the end. I need a mode of transportation.
Moped.
I need a type of sandwich.
Hoagie.
Hoagie.
I thought you said puggy. I'm like, don't eat Jimmy's dog.
Of course, my kid is named Hoagie, so that's weird too.
A type of condiment.
Oh, honey mustard.
Favorite amusement park ride.
Okay, I always love the Wabash Cannonball at Opryland.
Cannonball.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Name of a constellation.
Big Dipper.
You're not supposed to read ahead, Gene.
I just know what line that was part of. That's all. Name of a body part.
Foot.
Name of a store.
Great Escape.
Name of a cartoon.
Space Ghost.
Coast to Coast.
Yeah.
A medieval weapon.
Morningstar.
Synonym for filthy.
Grimy.
All right, so this story is Troy goes to Stone Mountain.
Oh, gosh, Stone Mountain. Wow.
One brisk autumn morning, Troy decided to go to the Stone Mountain store downtown to check out the new lines of Bajas, so Troy used his moped and headed into Nashville. Much to his chagrin, Troy discovered that Stone Mountain had closed long ago. Instead, Troy went to the Hustler store and got a hoagie smothered in honey mustard.
Definitely a euphemism.
With his employee discount, the sandwich turned out to be very cheap. Sandwich in hand, Troy then went to Centennial Park. Since the Parthenon and Cannonball was closed, Troy quickly realized that there wasn't a damn thing to do in the park. Fortunately, Troy met a hippie girl called Big Dipper. They shared Troy's sandwich, and then Troy invited her back to his place because he really admired her foot.
Been Tarantino here.
On the way home, Troy stopped at Great Escape and picked up a bottle of hooch. Back home, they split the hooch using Space Coast collectible mugs from Burger King. Once inebriated, Troy went to... What? Once inebriated, went back to Troy's bedroom. Sitting on the bed, the girl reached into her backpack and pulled out a ball gag and a riding crop. Troy, in turn, went to his closet and brandished a Morning Star and a zipper mask and a flamethrower. Turned on but scared for her life, the girl asked Troy to take her home to the hippie commune in Murfreesboro. Once the grimy hippie was gone, Troy drove back to Nashville to work on the late shift at Tower Records. The end.
Hey, have you ever worked at Tower Records in Nashville?
Amazingly enough, first in Nashville, it was not at some point at Tower
I
Records.
just want to make sure we got that.
The image of me menacing having a girl in my room and just suddenly pulling out a Morningstar and menacing her, I felt like I was in a Naschy movie. That actually sounds like something that would happen.
I think that's how he wrote most of his movies.
Mad Libs, yeah, there you go. Our Rises from the Tomb is basically a Mad Lib story come to life. Yeah.
Do you have any shit that you want to promote before Jimmy does Jimmy's Cruddy Cuisine?
Other than the Exotic Ones EP, which is on Bandcamp, we have our NaschyCast podcast. Go look for that. And then Rod also does another podcast called the Bloody Pit, which is more just an open-ended discussion of all things film. And I'm not on every episode of that, but I'll pop up every now and then. A lot of other people in it too. But the series that he and I are currently doing on the Bloody Pit is covering all the 40s Universal horror movies.
Right.
We're doing that. That's been a lot of fun working on that. Keep looking for the Bloody Pit and NaschyCast Facebook pages, because we'll eventually these audio commentaries that we've recorded that haven't been announced yet, we'll finally be able to announce those. So yeah.
No, I did. I made food. I made Asian food again. I perfected my tempura batter, which I've been struggling with for years. And I simplified it, and it turned out amazing. The problem is whenever I make tempura, I end up making like a giant bowl of it, and then I get chicken, and I put all the chicken, like 2 pounds of chicken. I tempura the shit out of it, because it can be a verb. I don't know if you guys know that. But then I have a half a bowl full of tempura batter, so I just go through the fridge, throw stuff in there, and deep fry it. So I ended up with a bunch of fried mushrooms and fried onions and fried candy bars, whatever I found in the fridge. Right there.
Tempura.
It was a Tempura Thursday.
Tempura Three Musketeers sounds really good.
Throw that sucker right in there.
Tempura can you eat before you projectile vomit?
Well, more than one batch, I guess.
Hey, Liam, go ahead and take your shower, bud.
Oh, Liam, take a shower.
Yes, Liam, take a shower. God damn
It's
it.
already
God's
that
sake.
time.
God's sake.
It's already 8:30. Time for that kid to take a shower.
Joe's already progressing into his after show routine. You don't have time for this bullshit.
You don't got time for that.
My question is with tempura, you can't use like some regular old cooking oil. It's got to be some light stuff, right?
I just use canola oil.
You actually use canola oil after all you know?
Yes.
That's disgusting.
And that can only be found sweating from trees in some Japanese forest or somewhere.
Listen, canola oil works great if you heat it to the right temperature and you treat it right.
So does that conclude Jimmy's Cruddy Cuisine, or you got more?
It does, yes. Now that you've shit-talked my tempura technique, I think
I'm trying to encourage you not to use that oil.
Accuse me of murdering my family. Thank you.
Okay, weirdos. Well, that's all we got for this evening. I wanted to thank our guest, Troy Guinn, for putting up with us tonight. Thank you, sir. And I'd also like to thank handsome Jimmy Hansen. And I'd also like to thank handsome Gino Royd Hansen. And I also would especially like to thank Winslow and Beef.
Beefy.
And that's all we got. So until next week, G's up and hose down till you motherfuckers bounce to this.
Turned on, but scared for her life, the girl asked Troy to take her home to the hippie commune in Murfreesboro. Once the grimy hippie was gone, Troy drove back to Nashville to work the late shift at Tower Records.
And I think we began the show with shame, and we should end it with shame.
Yeah,
Yeah.